Welcome back, everybody! On the last episode, we started the court trial. Today, we are just trying to figure out what the heck looked like a pterodactyl. And to be honest, as I was looking at this right before the episode started, something kind of hit me that, like, I don't know. Is it just me, or does the outline of this look like a pterodactyl to me? Am I going crazy thinking that, or what? Except I don't see how Larry could have seen that, though. That's the one thing I'm not getting, is how would Larry have seen that? Honestly, just because it's pterodactyl shaped, I kind of want to say it, though. Is it not pterodactyl shaped? Am I losing my mind here?
Take that.
Please take a good look at this sign. See, it's pterodactyl shaped. We didn't get a guilty verdict off of this. We didn't even get a strike off of this. Ha ha ha! At the sign. You thought, everyone. You thought. You were wrong. Ooh. It appears to have been broken and then repaired. I was actually thinking about doing the bench at first. And I was also thinking about, like, maybe the wings of the blimp. But then I looked at the sign. I was like, you know, it kind of looks like a pterodactyl shape. Appears to have been broken and then repaired. What does the sign have to do with the pterodactyl? Please focus on this part of the sign. The part that broke off and got reattached, what about it? What if we turn it like this? Whoa. Oh, that shape, it's the pterodactyl in the drawing! Let's see how close it is. Oops, what the crap? How'd that happen? Yeah, that's basically the exact same shape, too. It's like, whoa, man, look at that. Woo. Spooky. I'm surprised he didn't draw any of the greenery, though. What Mr. Butts actually saw was the chunk as it was being blown through the air by wind. Okay, but this leads to another problem, though. If there was a bunch of wind outside, then how the heck did Soren manage to do that with all the wind? It would be the same thing as, like, getting blown off by the propeller, no? What? Edgeworth's probably going to argue that in just a second, honestly. Also, whoa. On the day of the murder, there were some heavy winds in the area of the mooring dock. It's hard to imagine that this sign would make it up as high as an airship would fly. That means the flying chapel must have been anchored at the mooring dock that night. Isn't that right, Mr. Sprocket?
Objection!
You fool. That's more than enough of this power of love nonsense, you pop culture junkie. Present all the proof you want, but your argument is based far too much in conjecture. Why don't we return to reality now? What do you mean, too much conjecture? If the airship wasn't flying, that alone doesn't prove the witness went along the wall. True, even now it's no more than a possibility. How do you propose Mr. Sprocket got to the Vista deck, Mr. Edgeworth? I noticed something as I went over the evidence. Please take a look at this hold entry record. What about it? I don't see Mr. Sprocket listed on here anywhere. Don't you remember? In yesterday's session, we had a very similar kind of argument. Did we? Yeah, I don't remember that honestly either, Phoenix. Honestly, Mr. Wright, are you going senile already? We talked about Larry Butts using the defendant's key card to enter the hold. Oh, we did talk about that, didn't we? In other words, even if a person's name isn't on the entry record, it's still possible for that person to have entered by using someone else's key card. Mr. Sprocket, you entered the hold with Mr. Nicody, didn't you? I did. What? Why didn't you just tell us that in the first place? Pierce is indispensable. I didn't want to mention him unnecessarily and risk having him wrongly accused. I couldn't do it without him. Mr. Sprocket asked that you testify in greater detail about your movements that night. Yes, please do. Witness testimony. The truth. The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. That's why my name doesn't appear on the whole entry record. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over. Well, this doesn't help me one bit. Mr. Sprocket, you've concealed information from us time and time again. Who do you think you are, treating this court of law with such irrelevance? Irreverence? What did he say? ... Or what did he just say just now? Oh yeah, he did say ... That being said, I do appreciate the testimony you gave just now. Thanks to you, we now know why your name doesn't appear on the entry record. Now there are no more inconsistencies in the witness's testimony. Arrgh. That's Mr. Edgeworth for you. He never leaves a loose end dangling. You okay, Nick? I wouldn't exactly call the situation okay. Somehow I'll have to coax the information we need for an opening out of him. If I even can, that is. Can you? Cross-examination. The truth. Oh, snap, it's the truth, man. The truth is, I went to the Vista deck with Pierce. Uh-huh, sure you did. I totally believe it. I totally believe you did that. Yep.
Hold it.
You didn't mention this because you didn't want Mr. Nakoti to fall under suspicion. Is that because he has something to hide? I just didn't want the police to take up his time with all their questions, that's all. Neither the company nor the household would function smoothly without him. I see. Oh, it sounds like Pierce is absolutely indispensable to the Sprockets. Anyway, getting back to your statement. When did you meet up with Mr. Nakoti? We met up on the way to the Vista deck. I think Pierce and some of my relatives were on another floor. Pierce heard the commotion and came running to my aid. You hear the pandemonium all the way from another floor? Mr. Wright, would you like the current statement added to the witness's testimony? Sure. Why not? Yes, please, Your Honor. Very well. Pierce heard the commotion, and he came running.
Hold it.
Did Mr. Nakoti come alone? I believe some of his subordinates were with him, but I don't remember exactly how many. You may say there were others, but seeing how they pulled that second reception off, I can't completely trust anything he has to say either. I see, so you, Mr. Nakoti, and a few others headed to the Vista deck, is that right? That's right. Uh-huh. So my name doesn't appear on the hold entry record.
Hold it.
Your name doesn't appear on the hold entry record. Because you entered with Mr. Nakoti using his key card. That's right. So I guess the hold entry record doesn't matter as much as we thought. But now that Soren's saying he was with Pierce and a few others, it's pretty tough to refute that statement. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? You cat's got your tongue? Did you finally realize that there's no point in continuing this trial any longer? Of course not. Grr, I'll wipe that smug look off your face. Mr. Sprocket, please continue with your testimony. I was badly injured from being stabbed, but I was frantic.
Hold it.
Speaking of your injury, how are you doing now? Good question. Because he was passed out yesterday. Knife wound is deep and continues to throb with pain. Fortunately, my internal organs were spared. One wrong move would have spelled the end for me there. Even so, I've seen you up and about all over the place since the incident. Only following my doctor's orders to perform some daily light exercises. Why would your doctors be ordering that? Mr. Wright, would you like Mr. Sprocket's statement about his condition added to his testimony? Not that it appears especially relevant to me. Should I have him added to the testimony? Considering you just said that, it's probably very relevant, isn't it? Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to have it added to this testimony. I see, very well. Do it, man. Just do it. My wound is quite deep and it continues to throb with pain. Okay, so that one's still added then.
Hold it.
Gotcha. Your injury wait, knife wound? Did he say knife wound? Hold on. I just realized that your injury was really that deep. Luckily, it missed my internal organs. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive right now. According to his doctor, his injury will take about 3 weeks to heal. There's no way someone with that kind of injury could have gone along the outside wall. Ugh. But he might have been able to with a burst of adrenaline brought on by the pain. Adrenaline. Is that your answer for everything? In a court of law, the only thing that matters is evidence, not rampant speculation. At least admit it's scientific rampant speculation. May I continue? Yes, of course. Please do. By the time we reached the scene, it was all over. So you still insist that you reached the Vista deck after the murder had occurred? Is that correct? Yes, that's right. Ellen must have killed him. There's no other explanation. I guess whether Pierce was with Soren or not doesn't change the outcome. I guess not. In fact, with more witnesses actually make it worse for us. So another cover-up, huh? That Soren has too many secrets! I bet he's still hiding other things, too! It's definitely a possibility. In a situation like this, what we have to do is go back to the basics. You mean go over the testimony and check for any lies or inconsistencies? You got it. Alright, Nick, let's go for it! Well, I think I've already noticed an inconsistency anyway. I mean, seriously? A knife wound?
Objection!
Bruh. Mr. Sprocky, you just said your injury is a knife wound, didn't you? The weapon you were stabbed with was this candelabra. A fact I know you're quite aware of. Very well. This is what I heard directly from Master Soren himself. As you surmise, Master Soren was stabbed by Gloomsbury on the day of the murder. It happened after the first wedding reception. The happy couple was in the reception hall when suddenly Gloomsbury appeared. He attacked Miss Ellen and tried to take her away. Excuse me. Master Soren went to stop him and found himself in a struggle with Gloomsbury. That's when Master Soren was stabbed with the candelabra, he said. Ugh.
Objection!
Objection! Must have been a simple memory slip that made him misspeak. Happens to everyone. Has nothing to do with the case. Must be pretty desperate to point out something so minute. Grr. I have to agree, Mr. Wright. You hardly need to make such a big deal over such a small mistake.
But I contend that it's an important inconsistency. Besides, I couldn't find anything else. This is the only thing I have to go after.
And I say it's not important. Now let's not waste any more time on this matter. I agree. Everybody has a little memory lapse every now and then, especially me.
Hold it!
But, Your Honor, your memory's perfect, though. Please let me explain.
But can you really explain to this court what makes this slip so important?
Yes, I can, Your Honor. After all, it was Soren himself who told Pierce that he had been stabbed by a candelabra. It's more than a simple memory slip. There has to be some kind of reason for it.
Well, Mr. Wright, please explain why the witness's slip of the tongue is so important.
The point to focus on here is why the witness would mistake the weapon used to stab him. Think carefully, Phoenix. This could very well change the course of the trial.
I see. So why did the witness make that mistake, Mr. Wright?
Mr. Sprocket identified the wrong weapon used against him because he misspoke. That's not correct. He has no memory of it. That's not correct. He's covering for someone. Yes. What? That's not the answer? Mr. Sprocket is trying to cover for someone.
He is, and who might that be?
Well, Mr. Bloomsbury, maybe?
Objection!
So he misspoke or has no memory of it?
Why would Mr. Sprocket try to cover for the man who stabbed him? And regardless of weapon, the fact remains that Gloomsbury stabbed the witness. Exactly, Mr. Edgeworth.
Yeah, sorry, Nick, but I have to agree. I guess that makes sense.
Too bad there's no one to cover for you, Mr. Wright. You have to accept this penalty all by your lonesome.
Oh boy. Wouldn't mind having someone to cover for me every once in a while. Oh well, I can't lose heart now. Gotta just keep on trying. Well, I highly doubt it's misspoke. Though to be fair, I also highly doubt it's the memory issue either, but I mean... I guess it's only between one of these two, so no memory. It seems like the most logical one out of the two. He doesn't remember the incident, let alone the weapon used against him. Not only that, but I believe Mr. Sprocket has some sort of memory disorder. Therefore, the defense contends that Mr. Sprocket's testimony... Oh. Thus far is invalid. Uh-huh.
Suppose you can't find a flaw in his testimony. You want to throw it all out? Your baseless claim is nothing but pure slander of the witness's character. Mr. Edgeworth is correct, Mr. Wright. Can you explain your grounds for making this claim?
Of course, Your Honor. Think of what Soren has said. How he's behaved. That's where I'll find a clue.
Very well, let's hear your argument then.
My grounds for claiming Mr. Sprocket has a memory disorder is... his taciturn personality, his notebook. Obviously not the airplane pen, because that'd be silly. The notebook he always has with him. I saw daily events and information about the people around him recorded in it.
Like a diary, perhaps?
No, Your Honor, it's much too detailed to be an ordinary diary. It's more on the order of a database, actually.
A database, you say?
That's right. For some reason, Mr. Sprocket is apparently unable to retain memories. That's why he writes every little detail of his life down in his notebook.
How could you possibly know that for sure? He might just be an extremely compulsive person.
Thought so too myself at first. To be honest, we accidentally got a stain on that notebook yesterday. You mean you got a stain on it? Hey, you're the one who tried to grab it out of my...
Objection!
Never mind whose fault it was, just get to the point already.
Right, sorry. Mr. Sprocket. The page Miss Fey got a stain on yesterday. That's the page with the details of your stabbing on it, isn't it? No, I only write in this notebook because I'm very compulsive. I've dropped the subject already. Sorry, but I'm not convinced. I know it's an odd fact about your notebook, Mr. Sprocket. On the earlier page, you used to write down invention ideas. After a certain date, you started writing down a lot more and in much more detail. Honestly, I didn't think it was a memory loss thing. I just assumed, like, okay, well, I mean, he wants to remember every little detail of life that happens because he doesn't want to take life for granted or something like that. I don't know. Excuse me. That was my original thought on that, but I guess it's a memory loss thing. Whoops. I believe your memory disorder stems from what happened on that date.
Something so monumental caused a memory disorder, Mr. Wright.
You don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but I do know what I'm talking about, and this is the proof. This is the thing that caused Mr. Sprocket's memory disorder. It was the car accident. You were involved in this car accident too, weren't you, Mr. Sprocket? Of course. And the shock of losing your beloved older sister is what caused you to develop your memory disorder.
Is this true, Mr. Sprocket? Well, is it?
Mr. Sprocket! Ugh, It's true. That accident did something to my mind.
What?
Ever since that day, every time I go to sleep, I lose my memories. When I wake up, the most recent thing I can remember is the day I lost my sister. Because I'm constantly going back in time. There's a movie that's literally got this exact same plot point, basically.
What? That's truly tragic.
I forget what the name of the movie is. It's some freaking I don't know. There's a movie like that though. I'm pretty sure because I know I've watched a movie like that actually, which is weird because I don't watch very many movies, but I know I've watched a movie like that. An inconsolable time traveler who goes back in time whenever he goes to sleep. Besides, time travelers do exist, you know, but you wouldn't understand. Is there no way to fix his memory disorder? So that's what Soren meant. He was talking about himself. Is that a real thing that could happen, by the way? I kind of have to wonder a little bit. I mean, it seems like a horrible thing to have. Like, oh man, like your memory just keeps getting reversed back to like a terrible accident, basically. The reactions of the people around me each time I awoke made me aware of my condition. I decided to write everything down in my notebook so I can move forward. So the only memories you have since that day are the ones written in that notebook. It's right. There's a page about your stabbing got stained. You couldn't read from it, could you? Excuse me. Just one more thing I'd like you to clarify for me, Mr. Sprocket. Exactly what are you feeling? Your feelings towards the victim?
Mr. Sprocket's feelings towards Dumas Gloomsbury.
That's right, Your Honor. The witness said that every time he wakes up from sleep, his mind goes back to this day his sister died.
Mr. Wright, you can't mean...
Mr. Sprocket! Your pent-up feelings of anger and resentment towards Mr. Gloomsbury for the accident were renewed each and every time you woke, were they not? But you couldn't take it anymore, so you turned to murder, isn't that right? Bruh.
What, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that the witness murdered Mr. Gloomsbury? For revenge? Ugh.
Well, Mr. Sprocket? Hold it! You can't convict Soren! Ah! Miss Wyatt. Surprised she's not crying, honestly. Your Honor, I did it. I killed Mr. Gloomsbury. No!
What? Whoa!
Where's the gallery talk in this case? There's been a little bit, like, no gallery talk in this case at all. Miss Wyatt, what are you trying to do? Don't tell me you're still thinking of going that route. Soren is innocent. He can't be found guilty. Take me instead. Ellen, please, try and get a hold of yourself. I guess you really meant it. My Soren didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one who should be convicted.
Are we to understand that you're confessing your guilt?
No. Now wait just a minute here. Ellen, why would you cover for me? I testified that I thought you must have killed him. I'll admit I couldn't believe my ears at first. But all I want is for you to be happy. Your happiness is my happiness, Soren. But without my notebook, I'd even forget those feelings of yours by tomorrow. Knowing that, do you still feel this way? ... You've loved me all this time. Same way you did before the accident. That's how I know that you're the same person I've always loved. No disorder can change that. Ellen, Your Honor, there are 2 things I'd like to correct.
2 corrections? What are they?
First of all, I want to withdraw one of my statements. That's right, Dumas was killed by Ellen. Without memories to rely on, I took the police completely at their word.
You can't be serious.
So that means Soren never really doubted Ellen in the first place, did he, Nick? Ellen really does love Soren with all her heart. In order to save her, I still have to go after Soren. I hope you can forgive me, Ellen.
And what is your other correction, Mr. Sprocket?
I killed him. Truth is, I never felt anger or resentment towards Dumas about my sister. What? Why not? That's because the one who caused the car accident was, Are you gonna say it was Ellen? Because I swear... Was me? Oh, what? Huh? Huh? What? Uh-huh. Okay, then.
Order! Order in the court! Please continue, Mr. Sprocket.
I'm the one who killed my sister. To protect my career and my future, my father made Dumas take the blame. In exchange for money and the position of a lead servant.
Newspaper article updating the court record.
Huh, Soren was the one driving. Oh boy. So you see, Dumas must have held a grudge against me, not the other way around. And he must have attacked Ellen to get his revenge on me. Are you sure about all this, Mr. Sprocket? But considering he came out with minor injuries, though... Like, why? Very sure, it's all been written down in detail in my notebook.
That notebook is important evidence supplying background to this case. I must insist you submit it as evidence.
Soren's notebook added to the court record. Database like a notebook that chronicles the events of each day and minute in minute detail. The lawyer said I had turned to murder, but that's just not true. I see. Soren been writing nothing but ideas for his invention until March 8th of last year. This is the same as before. It hasn't been updated at all. However, it is true that my older sister and Dumas are both dead because of me and my negligence.
I just glanced through Mr. Sprocket's notebook. Was able to read the part about when he was stabbed due to the blood stain. What's written here about his sister's car accident exactly as he stated. Your Honor, as long as it matches what's written in that notebook, can we still take the witness's testimony as valid in spite of his memory disorder? Yes, I believe we can. I understand now that the witness's memory is in disarray. But if what Mr. Sprocket himself wrote in this notebook is true... That means by the time Mr. Sprocket's party reached the scene, the victim had already been killed.
I thought that was covered in the bloodstain, though. Edgeworth's right. I'm still in the same bind as before. Should I really simply accept the contents of that notebook as a substitute for Soren's memory?
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think? Will you accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories?
Accept Mr. Sprocket's notebook as an official representation of his memories? No. Wait a minute, Your Honor. Let's request a chance to examine the notebook to see if it's trustworthy.
Very well, but be quick about it.
Thank you, Your Honor. So how should we examine it? Well, we should look at it from all different angles to see if there's anything suspicious. I guess we should do that anyway. Whoa. Whoa. Alright, how about this angle? Okay. No wonder if I don't look at what's inside, I have to open it. With your permission, Soren, here I go. Whoops. Yikes. Oh, it's just the page Maya got all stained. This is not gonna be very helpful at this moment. I'll keep going. This is the last page where there's writing. Something about this page doesn't sit right with me.
So better take a closer look. How about we rotate the evidence first and then examine that side instead? Nothing special about the cover. Uh-huh. Nothing special about it at all, huh? How about this? There's some mathematical formulas written here. Looks like he was calculating something to do with distance and time. Wouldn't know if this had anything to do with the case. Nah. This page is blank. What? A blank page? What the crud? Where are we gonna find evidence for anything? Honestly, yeah. Huh? The page has been torn out. Looks like there was something written on it. Looks like a page has been torn out here. Mr. Sprocket, do you know what was written on it? Oh, that? I often tear out a page when I write somebody a note. Probably wrote something down for somebody, tore it out and gave it to them. Exactly. That wasn't a very good tear, though. Which is kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That solves that, then.
Objection!
That's not true! It didn't solve anything! Wait a minute. Can't ignore the possibility that something important was written on that page. But now that that page has been torn out, how can we determine what was written on there? Well, let's see. To find out what was written in that notebook, we should hold it up to a light, heat it with a lighter. What was written in that notebook? I don't see how fingerprint powder is going to work there, honestly. Hold it up to light. Heat it up with a lighter. Well, everyone, I think we'll go ahead and figure out what the answer to this question is on the next exciting episode, everyone. Are we going to be able to figure it out or not, I wonder? And is it going to be light or a lighter? Or am I completely wrong and it's going to be fingerprint powder? Well, we'll find out next episode. But anyway, everyone, I'll see you later. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
Hello everyone, you've reached the end of this video, but before we go for the day, I'd just like to give a quick shout out to the Tier 4 and 5 channel members, Phoenix Edgeworth, Acheron X2, Menthy, and Meister Papala. Thank you all for being awesome and supporting the channel. If you too would like to also get your name shouted out at the end of each video and live stream, shoutouts are available for all Tier 4 and 5 channel members. I hope you all have an awesome day. I'll see you all later.